Hi Edward, this is Alan Cockrell with ABC, former hitting coach for the Colorado Rockies and the Seattle Mariners. We're going to take a look at your video this morning. Edward, the first thing I always look at with all my hitters is just to make sure that we start under balance and then we maintain balance throughout. Okay, for me, balance is knees are inside the feet and my head is inside my knees. So you're starting out in a balanced position, even though stances may vary and will vary from hitter to hitter. You've got just a little bit more preset in the back. As long as we keep this back knee inside this back foot, you're going to be absolutely fine. So we're going to run this forward now into the load up phase. The load up phase is gathering and storing energy into my back leg, to the inside part of my back leg. Okay. One thing I'd like to see you do is, if we're going to start low right here with your head, I'd like to see you keep that same position when you get to your foot down position. Okay. See, we kind of, when we go back, we're kind of pushing up with that head, and now we're going to try to come back down. So that's going to be difficult for us, and our eyes moving that much, it's going to be difficult for us to see the ball as good as we possibly can. So if we're going to load, let's try to keep our head as still as we possibly can, meaning I don't want it to go up, I don't want it to go back a whole lot, although it will, and I don't want it to go forward a whole lot. So let's just try to keep it as still as we possibly can. When we load, we're feeling all that in there with a quiet head. Okay, we're going to run this forward now into the last part of the load up phase. Okay, the load up phase, a lot of hitters, their front toe will land first right here. Okay, which is good, fine, whatever, but it doesn't really, we're not fully loaded until the back heel plants into the ground. Okay, so when that back heel plants into the ground, now there's a few other things we're going to take a look at. All right, the first thing I want to make sure is, or not the first thing, but there's a few items on the checklist here. Got good equal bend in both knees. Okay, this front leg is starting to stiffen out just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. It's a little bit straighter than the back leg, and that's going to cause these hips right here that we want to keep squared up. That's going to cause just a little bit of leak open with that front hip. When that front hip leaks open just a little bit, these hands will come out and around the baseball. And I'm sure you've heard the term stay inside the ball. If my front hip starts my swing and it goes out, then my hands will come out and around the baseball. Okay. The other thing I take a real close look at is, where is our stride foot when we land? Okay, when that heel plants and the foot is completely and totally down, we want to try to keep this stride foot at 45 degrees or less. And you can see here you're at 61. So I think a couple things going on here. We got a straight front leg, and then we've got a stride foot that we'd rather see more at a 45 or less than. Right here is just causing just a little bit of quickness with that front hip, wanting to get out of there and start my swing with that front side. All right, now we're going to get into the swing phase. All right, the swing phase is taking my back knee, all the weight that I had gathered into the inside part of this back leg. I'm now going to transfer that weight and shift that weight, and I'm going to transfer it all into the inside part of my front leg. Okay, the inner part of my thigh of my front leg. That's the first move that we make with our lower half. The lower half gives us two things. It gives us direction to the baseball. It also gives us drive through the baseball. So in a sense, our lower half is basically where our power comes from. Okay, once we start getting a lower half drive into the ball, the next move is the back elbow will drop down into a slot next to the rib cage and the back hip. I'm sure you've probably heard that term. Drop the elbow down into the slot. Okay, so once the back knee goes, the elbow drops. What we should see at this particular point, and I see a good one right here from you, is I see a good connection with your back shoulder, your back elbow, and your back hip. They're all in alignment. Okay, now our next move to the baseball is all of this stops. This elbow stops going forward. Now the hands will start to work in front of your body. They'll work just past the center of gravity, and then we'll start to release the bat barrel to the baseball. Okay, so let's see where we go here. All right, let me run that back one click. Okay, it's going to be difficult with this video to tell when the hands start to go forward. Okay, but as we can see at this point, the elbow has moved just a little bit. You can see the elbow right here. Okay, the elbow has moved in front of our back hip, which is our power source. Moved in front just a little bit. At this point, I'd like to see your hands more in front of your body, probably maybe more out into this area right here, so that we can start to deliver the bat to the ball. Right, where we don't want our hands or we don't want our elbow to get in front of our power source. You know, once we get the connection with the back shoulder, the back elbow, the back hip, now the hands will work in front. You can see here your elbow's still kind of in front a little bit. The feeling that we should have once we get to that connection and I'm going to throw the barrel is kind of like skipping a flat rock on a lake. And if you make that little sidearm throwing motion, the elbow will drop down into the slot. But once it gets to that point where it's shoulder, elbow, hip, now the hand goes forward and it releases the rock, so it will skip across the lake. And if we get the elbow in front of, too far in front of our power source, that back hip, we can't release that rock and keep it flat, so it'll skip across the lake. That's the feeling we want to have with that back elbow and that top hand. Okay, now we'll run it forward to contact, right about there. Okay, I see some good things here, really good things with your head and eyes. See head and eyes looking down the barrel of the bat, and that's critical. As soon as my head and eyes come up, then the barrel of my bat is going to follow that. So in a sense, when my head comes up, my swing is over. We want to discipline ourselves to keep our head and eyes down in the hitting zone for at least a count past contact. Okay, we'll run this forward. Okay, we're kind of cutting across just a little bit, and that's just because we didn't quite let our hands get in front of our center of gravity, and we end up kind of cutting our swing off in this direction just a little bit. So the one drill that I would like to do with you is we're going to get back to this point right here. Okay, we're going to stop. Now the first thing that we're going to check with you is make sure your stride foot's no more open than 45. Make sure that these hips are squared up. Okay, now once we get to this point, we're going to set a tee over here on the outer third of the plate equal with your front foot, somewhere in this area right here. And this is going to be just a one-hand top hand drill. Okay, I'm going to take this to the connected position. All right, now once I get to that connected position, this knee is starting to drive weight into there. I'm going to stop. Now this top hand, I'm going to go through the motion of skipping a flat rock through the right side of the cage or a line drive to the second baseman. Okay, and what we'll feel is we'll get to this connection right here. We'll get to that point. But now from here, the only thing going forward to this baseball out here on the outer third of the plate, the only thing going forward is the release of your hands and the barrel of the bat staying through that ball. So we get good extension and we get good maximum bat speed staying through the baseball. Okay, what has happened again is this elbow has gotten into here, just a little bit ahead of your power source right there. So we end up cutting our swing across, and we don't finish our swing like we can. We want to have maximum bat speed going through the ball. So we're going to do a top hand tee drill, and we're going to get into all the important positions, as I've said. Okay, and then we're going to just feel once I get to that connection. Okay, now I'm just going to skip the rock with the barrel of my bat and feel the bat speed and feel the extension staying through that ball that's outer half or outer third. Okay, this is a drill I think will help you a lot, and I want to wish you all the luck, buddy, and thanks for coming to our camp.